do some black and yellow tonight in honor of the theme of the boxes. Man, I gotta go buy more gloves. I keep saying that. Eventually it's gonna get to the point where it's like, hey, you gotta go get more gloves like today. You gotta get on that. Alright. How is everybody tonight? Hopefully good. Hey, Jonathan. How's it going, man? John says things are good. Pretty good. That's good, John. Got the yawns. Yeah, much better. Yep. Thanks for asking, John. I think it was allergies. We've just, Mother Nature here in Ohio has just been jerking us all over the place, and so watching the Braves and the break. There you go. Excited to see these cards. Yeah, Kyle, 2017 Donruss was several years prior to when I got back in. 2019, like the end of 2019 into 2020 was when I got back into the hobby. So I was about 6 months to a year pre-COVID. So that was still, several years after this came out. So we just haven't broke a lot of it. And just seemed like a good time to do a little bit of Donruss with 2025 Donruss right around the corner. So these are massive. I forget what, let me tell you, I can tell you guys real quick. So these, obviously you can see, have 240 cards per box. 24 packs with 10 cards in a pack. So 240 times 6 is 1440. 1,440 cards is what we're going to see tonight out of these 6 boxes. 1440. The 2025 Donruss, they've pared it back to 16 packs, 8 cards per pack, which is 128 cards per box. Multiply that by 6, that's 768 cards in the same break. So not quite, but almost half. Just slightly over half. But you'll see what I mean. As we rip through these, you're going to be like, man, that's a lot of cards. And it will be a lot of cards. That's why I wanted to get started early, too, because I know this one's going to be a long one. Here is our list for tonight. Only missing payments from 2 folks, Matt Aland and Afton McHugh. But I had heard from both of them, so I think we'll be in good shape with them. So everything else is accounted for. No duck race tonight, which I kind of figured that might be the case. Pretty affordable spots overall, and it's a smaller checklist in general, so pretty simple. I wanted to move the camera so you guys can see all the boxes. So there's all 6 boxes, and then the Bad Monkey box on top. And we'll go ahead and start with the Bad Monkey box first, I guess. Mostly because it's in the way. I kind of wanted to do it last, but it's sort of in my way. And in the interest of getting it out of my way, we're going to do this first. So if you're new and you're not familiar, this is just a box that we reuse, maybe once a week at the most, sometimes not even. And what I'll do is if I have singles sitting around that fit into the break, like the product, then I'll put some singles in here and kind of just add to the break a little bit. So these are just extra cards. Whatever comes out of this just goes to the drivers that they're assigned with, and they're just part of the break. So pretty simple stuff. So good luck to everybody. If I remember right, when I packed this, I was going to say, I don't think there's as many cards in this as we're used to, and you guys will see why when we get through these a little bit, because there's one pretty nice card in this stack that sort of, occupied some space fiscally. So we've got AJ Allmendinger, 300 out of 499. AJ was actually unlisted. It goes to Kyle Clayton. So Kyle was the one that said he was excited to see these. First card out. Getting the numbered card. Brad Keselowski with the blue, 64 of 299. Going to go to Scott Cutler. Then we got the Mayor Press Proof Jeff Burton, 5 out of 99. Jeff Burton will go to Kyle Clayton. He's also unlisted. Then we're going to go David Reagan. That goes to Johnny Hinton. We got Denny Hamlin on the sheet metal for Nick Cusack. I'll put Denny on the card stand for a bit. Dakota Armstrong. Signature Series Dakota Armstrong goes to Steve Teskey. Then we got the fire suit for Elliott Sadler going to Johnny Hinton. Jeb Burton. Both Burtons, I guess I should say all the Burtons were unlisted, so that'll go to Kyle Clayton as well. Matt Tifft is going to go to Anthony Hawley. Signature Series Matt Tifft. Then we got Rubber Relics for Joey Logano. That's going to go to Scott Cutler. And then our last one for the Bad Monkey box, but it's a nice one. Significant Signatures Gold. 24/25. Kevin Harvick. Going to Will Blackman. So not a bad way to start. Congrats, Will. So that gets the people going with the bad monkey box. All right, now let's do this thing. Because we got a long way to go. You just gotta trust me. We got a long way to go. Just gonna put stacks up there like that. And we'll do that one. I think that's stacks 1, 2 shy. And as typical, now 25 Donruss, I might not do it this way, but normally when we do Donruss, we open them all instead of one pack at a time. This year might be different. We'll have to just see how it goes. With less cards, we can take a little more time. Trying to make sure I'm not upside down. There we go. Probably am upside down. That's all right. We'll figure it out. All right. Here we go. We're going to move pretty quick through the base cards. Suarez, Larson, Dinger, Joey Logano, Casey Kane, Truex. Again, we're going to move pretty quick through the base cards because you're going to see multiples for sure. Michael McDowell, 38/499. Goes to Will Black. Well, I wasn't trying to fan them to see anything because you really can't tell with these, John. It was more so I wanted to see if I had them upside down or not. Yeah, you really can't tell much with these because you can see they're all going to be basically the same colors. And even when you see one upside down, it doesn't always mean anything, see? So Dinger, Byron, that's a young William Byron. Crazy to think that was 8 years ago. There we go. Martin Truex Jr. pole position, 764/999. It's going to go to Nate. Kate Dollenbach, rated rookie. Trackmasters, Jimmy Johnson. We've got our first relic, and it's going to be Clint Boyer on the fire suit. Going to Trevor Bowers. We'll swap Clint out for Denny since Clint came from a pack and Denny did at one time, but not today. So we'll swap him out. Relatable, John. Relatable. Cameron Haley, rated rookie. I think I've put, I don't know if I've got them right side up or upside down. It's hard to say. I think I put most of those upside down, but I guess we'll find out. 6 of one, half a dozen of another, right? Greg Biffle. Young Chase Elliott. What, he doesn't look much different, truthfully. Larson. I heard something interesting today. They were talking about Kyle Larson, 81 of 499, Martin Truex Jr. Anyway, they were talking about Kyle Larson, and they said, do you think that he would have the same success or would be a potential, likely Hall of Famer if what happened to him in his life a couple of years ago hadn't happened and he hadn't gotten fired by Chip Ganassi? Would things have gone the same direction? I mean, he was still trending upwards in his career, obviously, but obviously going to Hendrick certainly seems like it accelerated that too. So, boy, Scott's going to love this. Brandon Jones, Signature Series. Going to Scott Dixon. I swear last night or 2 nights ago, Scott said he doesn't have any 2017 Brandon Jones stuff. So we started him off on the right foot tonight. Congrats, Scott Dixon. Brandon Jones making an appearance. Speed. 796 out of 999. Kevin Harvick. First ever 2017 Brandon Jones card, period, huh? Nice. Well, that worked out well for you. Harvick going to Will Blackman. Pole position, Matt Kenseth. Race Kings, Ryan Blaney. You can see the evolution of Donruss over the years. Call to the Hall, Rusty. And then we got Race Kings, 164 out of 499, Matt Kenseth. Kenseth will go to Andy. Makes up for your skunk, yeah. It is Donruss is unique. So this was the first Donruss NASCAR product. For those that aren't familiar. If you didn't know, now you know. This, just like 16 was the first Prism, 17 Donruss was the first Donruss. So now you know that. It's very interesting that it has kind of I guess I don't want to use the word weird, but it is weird in a way. It has a weird combination of drivers because you've got like the Force Girls. All 3 of the Force Girls. You've got Mario Andretti. You've got some owners like, Jack Roush and Richard Childress. It's just a very interesting mix. So, Kevin Harvick, 290 of 299, blue. I'm very excited for the next Donruss to come out, though. I will say that. Look at Christopher Bell, how young he is. You guys will see when we get the most recent PSA submission that we just sent out at the beginning of this month. I sent out my Christopher Bell buyback autographs to be graded. Some of them are not going to grade well because when they were signed, he signed them in a gold Sharpie, and when he signed them, he stacked them. And so some of them ended up with gold Sharpie on the back because they got stacked on top of each other wet. But I don't care about the grades. But anyway, just look how different he looks now from then. Dramatic change. Yeah, that's pre-JGR Bell for sure. JGR's dietitian or whatever is really... I need on whatever plan Bell's on, because they've got him in, like, trim shape. 571 out of 999, Denny Hamlin, Track Masters. Going to Nick. Cut to the chase, Jimmy Johnson. Top tier, Austin Dillon. I do love this set because you got the Top Gun look. I think those are really cool. Michael Waltrip Classics. Dale Jr., 125 of 199, green. Going to Nick Marquette. Classics Danica. Another Martin Truex Jr., 9 out of 499. Going to Nate. One small stack left to finish off box one. I legitimately figured probably a 2-hour break. So we'll see how close to that 11 o'clock time frame is when we get done. Or how close we are when we get done. Because that's about what I figured it would be. Mears. Special K, Matt Kenseth. I know I've opened enough of this to know that most of these cards, when they're upside down, are not going to be anything, when they're just a base card. But I don't like not turning upside down cards. It's just something I don't enjoy. Like, I watch other breaks, and I don't like it when people have cards upside down and they just keep on going. So I just feel obligated to stop and turn everything. 188 of 299, Austin Dillon blue. Goes to Michael Clay. The way I see it is if certain things make the break take longer, then so be it. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, nobody's going to force you to. You can always just wait and watch the recap at the end if you want. But for those that do want to see every single card, I want to make sure we're doing that. So Those two are sticking. I was going to say. Classics. 794. My apologies. 794 out of 999. For the King. Going to John. They're all upside down. Speed, Denny. And then we've got a dual rubber relics, Kevin Harvick. Going to Will Blackman. Will's having a good break with Kevin Harvick already. Finish off this last little stack. So I have an interesting conversation that we can talk about and chit chat because we're going to be here for a while. 240 of 299, Mark Martin. I didn't realize Mark Martin is unlisted in this. It's going to go to Kyle Clayton in the unlisted spot. Interesting. But anyway, I saw something on Twitter today. I just call it Twitter. I'm sorry. I know it's X. But I saw something interesting on there where there were some people talking about how the demographics who watched the weekend cup race, they compared that to the same of the F1 race, and NASCAR's cup race outperformed F1 on television by, I don't know, a couple 100,000 viewers. However, when they broke down the demographics even further, and they got into the 19 to 48-year-old bracket, that age group of like 19 to 48 or 20 to 48 or whatever it was, right in that range, F1 beat NASCAR by a couple 100,000 in that specific category. So obviously that leans into the younger NASCAR fans aren't watching the races. And what do we do about that? How do we fix that? Whatever. But the interesting thing that I saw on X or Twitter was people talking about needing to shorten the races. And, everybody's got strong opinions. I don't know that I have a strong opinion on whether they should or should not shorten the races, but I have a strong opinion that they need to do something. So I'm curious what you guys think that are watching, because I know I've got a nice mixture of people from all demographics. I've got, people that are 19 and 20 years old in our group, and I've got people that are, I think we've got people in their 70s. So I'm curious what everybody thinks. And I'll be 41 tomorrow, matter of fact. So but I'm just curious what you guys think. Do you think that shortening the race or races would help in overall popularity? 276 of 499, Trevor Bain goes to Johnny Hinton. I'm going to wait a few minutes before I share what my solution is, because I try to not jump the gun and push my opinion out there too soon. I like to hear what you guys think. Michael Clay said he's 72. 72 years young. Look at that. John says get rid of stages. Happy. Oh, thank you, Kyle. Appreciate that. Phenoms, Eric Jones. $9.93 out of $9.99. Eric Jones goes to JR. Had to go snipe a card real fast on eBay. Nice, Scott. I did well the other night. I picked up some stuff for shows, some wrestling stuff. I did really well, actually. I'm pretty jazzed up about it. I might even keep a couple of them for the PC, matter of fact. A couple slabs, couple Alexa Blisses. I think I got 2 Liv Morgan autographs on the way, which is pretty cool. Rubber Relics, Joey Logano. Going to Scott Cutler. Get rid of the playoffs and go back to the old system. Yeah. Well, I will say that I don't think we're ever going back to the old system. I've heard Dale Jr. and too many other people talk about it and say they're not going back. So I do think that's probably not going to happen. 201 of 499, unfortunately, because I kind of agree to a degree. Rowdy. Nice, Nick. Nasty Jones patch from NT with part of the Menards. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you can't go wrong there, Scott. Nice. I have a couple of thoughts, and I'm not saying that all of these. I'm not going to say that all the things that I'm about to say should all be done, but over the course of the last several hours, I've been thinking about this topic a lot with how do you make it more interesting for the younger group, or how do you shorten the race somehow, or whatever. And I've come up with a few thoughts, and again, not all of my thoughts coincide with each other. So just understand that as I say these things, I'm not necessarily meaning that they should do all of these things, but maybe out of these, maybe there's one decent idea. I don't know. So my first knee-jerk reaction to shortening the races and needing to be more efficient somehow. Kyle Busch, 74 out of 499, going to Tony Jordan. But my first knee-jerk thought is we probably don't need to shorten the races, but NASCAR's officials need to do a better job of not lollygagging under caution. Because if a race takes, I don't know, 4.5, 5 hours, I'd love to know how much of that time is caution and how much of that time could have been avoided under caution if they would have just went back racing instead of, we all know how they do. They're like, oh, well, we should open pit road, and guys are going to want to pit, so then we're going to have to stay open longer. And ooh, nice. Casey Mears studio autograph, 11 of 25. Another short print going to Johnny Hinton on the Casey Mears. Nice hit, Johnny. A lot of cautions shouldn't be cautions, is what you're saying? Yeah. I think NASCAR has. I guess what I'm getting at is I think in a way NASCAR has used the caution flag as a crutch, if you will. You know what I mean? Like an aid. And they use it to try to we can make the race more interesting if they do this, 465 of 499, pole position Austin Dillon. Cracked ice goes to Michael Clay. But yeah, I think you could eliminate the waste during cautions, and I can guarantee there's waste. So that was my first knee-jerk thought, okay, is just get the officials to throw the dang green flag and stop messing around. Phenoms, Chase Elliott. Race Kings, Newman. My second, I guess, knee-jerk thought is stop throwing the caution for stages. You can wave the green and checkered flag, or green and white flag, or whatever that is. Call to the hall, Rusty. You can wave that flag at the end of the stage, but just stay green. Why do you have to have a caution to do that? 89 and 99, Harry Gant. That's sharp. Got the Skull Bandit hat and all. Harry Gant goes to the unlisted spot, and Kyle Clayton. And so anyway, I think you stop doing the stages. At least stop the caution for the stages. If they want to continue stage racing and do the points thing, and that's fine with me. And I don't really hate the playoffs. I think the playoffs could be better, but I don't hate it. But then you got the group that's talking about, should we shorten races or not? And sometimes I think yes is the answer to some of those. Like, not all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they should you don't shorten the Daytona 500. You don't shorten the Coke 600. You don't shorten the Southern 500. There's certain races that you don't shorten, right? But then there's others that could be less laps, and I think the ideal thing is to try to figure out a way to get the race to be run within about a 3.5 hour window. Because that's about how long an NFL football game lasts. And if you're running much longer than an NFL game, boy, that's a long time, So, but I think they could shorten a lot of other races, and not only would it make the racing better, but you shorten the race. Some of this stuff, I guess, does work in unison. You shorten the race, smaller fuel tank, tires that are softer with more tire fall off, which forces them, because the race is shorter, you have to force them to pit. You know what I mean? Because you don't want it to become a fuel mileage game, so that's why you have to make the fuel tank smaller. So that they do have to pit, and you make the tires fall off so that when they have to pit, they got to change tires and put fuel in the car. It's like you know what I mean? Classics, Rusty Wallace, which I think they should already be doing those two things regardless of anything else, but 132 of 199, Greg Biffle. And then my last thing is, if you shorten some of these races, like shorten some of these races to, either 350 miles or 350 laps instead of 400. But maybe you get back to where you have a little bit more practice on Saturday. Biffle going to Johnny Hinton. Or you go to a format where you qualify, and instead of having practice, you unload, you qualify, and you run a heat race to determine your starting position at every track, every race. You could have a heat race just like they do in dirt. And the point of doing heat races for me on like Saturday, like say you're going to Dover for the weekend, the point of doing qualifying heat and heats on Saturday is then it makes more of an event and more of a weekend around it, where it's not so in and out in one day. I think that's part of the issue with the attendance is it used to be a whole event. You know, people used to go and camp, and it's lost some of that event feel over the years. Boy, even Truex looked young there. $329 and $9.99. Top tier cracked ice. Going to Nate. Cut to the chase, Martin Truex Jr. And then we got dual rubber relics, Jimmy Johnson. Going to Dale. So anyway, those are just some of my thoughts that I had. Been to Daytona in the street race, and they're very... Oh, yes, John. Those are... yeah, I'm sure those are very, very different. I've been to... So I've been to Daytona. I've been to Indianapolis. I've been to Dover. I've been to Kentucky Speedway. I don't think I've left anything. I think those are the only ones I've been to personally. Blue Junior, 184 at $2.99. Goes to Nick Marquette. But yeah, the experience from all those is vastly different. But I can tell you, my experience when I was, a junior, senior in high school in 2000, 2001 at Dover, that experience is vastly different than my experience at Daytona the last several years. And I've been vocal about this before with the merchandise trailers and how NASCAR has their hand in the merch and all that kind of stuff. Daytona 500 ticks for a third of what I pay for. Well, yeah, it's all about the amount of people, right, John? You know, like Daytona has 150,000 fans. I don't know how many they fit into the grandstands and to the race at Chicago, but my guess is probably a third of that, if that. 28 out of 99, press proof, Dale Jr. But I'd be surprised if that gap hasn't changed some over the last year, especially since the Chicago street race has never actually been finished. Junior going to Nick Marquette. But yeah, just so many things. I saw somebody respond to that whole conversation on Twitter and X, and they said that the guy said, he goes, I love NASCAR. I just don't love what's happening currently with NASCAR. And he goes, and I can acknowledge that there's a problem and something has to be fixed. 467 out of 999. Cut to the chase. Ice, Kevin Harvick. Going to Will. Staying hot with Harvick. Yeah, I think they had a 3-year contract. Speed, Kevin Harvick. Top tier, Carl Edwards. But the Chicago, that whole setup's just not great, you know. Classics, BK. If weather or darkness becomes an issue, then the race is just shortened. And Daniel Hemrick, rated rookie, press proof, 17 out of 49, going to Paul Wolfe. Nice Hemrick rookie. I feel like there was like 4 Carl Edwards cards in that like 6-card run there. That was weird. All right, 2 boxes down, 4 to go. I'm going to stop for a quick second and turn this little heater off down here. I'm getting... So the basement where I'm at's tricky because in the winter it's chilly. In the summer it's cool and feels great. We switched from heat to air conditioning, and we've had the air conditioning on for a couple days. I forgot to close the vent that blows the air into the basement. So I was pumping air conditioning into the basement when I didn't need it, which made the basement very cold, as I'm sure you can imagine. So had to get the vent closed and turn the little heater on again one more time to try to get us leveled out a little bit, because it was chilly. These packs just slide all over the place. All right. Whoa, see? I told you they slide all over the place.